We have children. We have to help them become functioning, successful, thinking, curious adults.
In school, I was super homesick, I was crying, I wanted to go back.
And I like to be around the people that I care about.
I am a career changer. My first degree is in accounting, and I changed.
So my mother is the one that challenged me to become a teacher.
My background is in mental health counseling, and then I went into the elementary school.
My chemistry teacher, he was like, you would be a really good teacher. I ended up meeting Coach Delva, and he's a teacher. And that's how I started looking into becoming a teacher.
So growing up in Washington Heights in the 80s basically made me a fighter. At that time, gang life was prevalent.
The kids really need authenticity. They need someone who cares about them, that can see them.
$500 in that account.
Students in Laurie Acosta's class are learning how to build a business.
What was the key aspect that made people enjoy that logo?
Virtual Enterprises International teaches students entrepreneurship. As a class, they come up with an idea, then operate their startup by conducting business with hundreds of virtual companies formed in schools across the country.
They went through a process from the beginning of the year to figure out what kind of business they wanted to run, what did they care about in the world, and from that process called design thinking, they developed a business. So they just got it registered this week.
These students came up with Accessorize.
Pretty much, we call this the switcher frame, which is a pair of glasses that you can switch out the temples. So one pair of glasses turned into many. So that was our concept.
And so every year there's a different business and students start it from scratch, and it's student led, and it gives them skills that they can use in the real world on how an actual business works.
I am a native of South Florida, one of the few. I was born in Miami, and I lived in Florida until I graduated from college. And then I moved away for about 20 years, and then came back after 9/11 to be closer to family. So I'm back home.
And this is how the story of Mrs. Acosta began in the education field. She grew up with two younger siblings. Her father was a career educator. Her mother was a stay-at-home mom until Laurie attended middle school. Laurie had a very fulfilling childhood marked by many challenges in her environment, forcing her to learn to be very independent at an early age.
You know, when my mom went to work, I was a latchkey kid, grew up watching all of the favorite TV shows, but I also loved to walk over to the local elementary school and help out in the classroom. And I think that was an early indicator that I belonged in a school.
In her late 20s, Laurie Acosta gave birth to a daughter and a son who became her bundle of joy for the past 3 decades.
I met my former husband when I was in my late 20s. We got married and we had our first child. And her name is Jillian, and she and her brother are the great loves of my life.
JPT students have known her as Laurie Acosta until she reclaimed her maiden name after her divorce 2 years ago. So at this point, I will refer to her as LaurieLevitan. She studied journalism and public relations at the University of Florida, where she graduated with a Bachelor of Science degree in 1980. Then she worked in the corporate world as publicist, marketing manager, brand manager, relationship manager, and director of marketing from 1981 to 1997. So how did she become a teacher? Being an educator's daughter, Laurie has developed at an early age a special love for schools. She always felt as if something in the schools was pulling her in, but she never had any plan to become a teacher.
After September 11th, my husband and I decided to return back to South Florida, which was home, and I was signing my daughter up for high school. She was 14, she was getting ready to start, and I saw that they were teaching marketing in high school. And all of a sudden, everything became clear to me. Like the light bulb went off and the clouds parted and the angels started to sing, like, you are supposed to be a teacher.
Once Laurie's mind was set to become a marketing teacher, she acquired her teaching certificate and soon after was hired by Principal Sarah in 2003 to start her first teaching job at Joseph Philip Taravella. She started teaching marketing, computer applications, and later Academy of Finance, which was quite challenging at the beginning.
In fact, I learned it 1 or 2 steps ahead of my students learning it. I'd worked for entrepreneurs, and so I was able to apply the things that I already knew and the experiences that I had. What I know about my teaching career is that it was always more about teaching students about life than it was about the particular content that I taught.
Laurie has certainly overcome that fear, but the challenges never ended until the day she retired.
The thing that comes into my mind the first is the cell phone. Because anytime a student's attention is diverted from what's going on around him or her, they lose the train, and they lose the connection to what's going on, and they lose the ability to process what a teacher is trying to instill in them in a short period of time. The phone is great. I have a cell phone. I enjoy using my cell phone. It's an incredible tool. But when I'm trying to focus on something or learn something, it has no place in the energy of that environment. And it's so sad because it's hard to convince kids to put their phones down. Even though the policy has changed, it's still not working.
Besides distractions caused by electronic devices in the classroom, Ms. Levitan believes that the frequency of high-stakes tests is another factor that continues to impact students' learning negatively.
I think the emphasis on testing has sucked the life out of education. Not just the teachers, but the kids. And I think the kids have so little opportunity to experience real teaching. And they don't get to experience learning and curiosity and time to really connect with themselves, much less their teacher, because it's all about rote memorization and practice, 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 and failure.
Like in all professions, there are good and bad days. In Laurie's account, her worst day was a lockdown situation that happened years ago when she had to cram a large group of students into a small closet for hours. She describes it as a nightmare that she will never forget.
And I had kids who had to use the bathroom. I had kids who were claustrophobic, panicked. I was afraid. And I can only imagine what it must have been like for our neighbors at Stoneman Douglas or throughout the country when this is happening. But I just think that this level of violence and fear is what makes it so much more difficult for kids to learn and for teachers to teach. Teachers are human also.
LaurieLevitan was blessed with more cheerful than gloomy days out of her 21 years of teaching career.
I have had a lot of wonderful days.
Days when the students get it.
I always joke with my kids when they say, "Oh," that's my favorite sound.
Days when the students show appreciation for the knowledge she has been sharing. Days when a former student comes back with thank you note and proof of accomplishment after high school.
I can say now that I am a sophomore in college that the professionalism skills, resume building, project management, marketing strategy, collaboration, discipline, all of these skills that Ms. Levitan taught me when she was my teacher and DECA Club advisor for 2 years have helped me navigate college and life more than whatever else I was supposed to learn in high school.
I've been blessed with students who have started their own businesses as a result of being inspired. I've received letters from students who were grateful for the things that they learned in class because this is what they're doing with their careers
and
now.
Of course, her time as a DECA Club advisor.
The best part about DECA as an advisor is watching a young person get their own capability. And they end up making lifelong friends through this organization, or they end up learning what they're able to do. They get out of their fear. They get to go on these trips, these overnight trips where for the very first time they have to make decisions about getting themselves awake in the morning and getting dressed professionally and speaking with adults and getting to know kids from all over the state or all over the country or even all over the world.
I'm assuming you consider yourself to be a successful club advisor. So what are the challenges that you have to overcome to get to that point?
I think the biggest one is time and commitment from the kids. And they have a lot of demands on their time right now. You know, a lot of students have to work after school to help support their families. Students have a lot of demanding classes. They have to be willing to put in the effort to make their club as successful as it can be, to be personally successful, and it's not always easy to convince a kid to do that.
Laurie has so many great memories that she doesn't feel any regrets as she exits the high school classrooms to build a new life.
I don't feel regret. I feel grateful for having had this career, that it presented itself to me when the time in my life was absolutely perfect for it.
LaurieLevitan remains hopeful that the state of education will change for the better at some point, either by natural occurrence or by choice.
Because I think a broken system is just going to crumble and go into the sea, and something new will arise. It has to. We have children. We have to help them become functioning, successful, thinking, curious adults who know how to get along with each other, who are not afraid of each other based on our physical differences or cultural differences. We're going to have to create a planet where we all respect and honor ourselves and one another, and that isn't going to happen under the current system that we all are trying to operate in. So it can't last like this forever. Something's going to give, and then from that, good thinking people will create something beautiful.
During her 21 years of teaching, LaurieLevitan became an inspiring teacher for many students and left a positive impact on many teachers.
I had the privilege of having Miss Acosta for all 4 years of my time there at Terravella. I took her for a couple business classes, virtual enterprise. I also took her for a couple marketing classes and personal finance classes. But words can't express how grateful I am to Miss Acosta. The wisdom, the knowledge, the know-how, the skills that she's passed on to me and the rest of her students are priceless. And so for that, I'm very grateful to her. Even now, 2 years past graduation, she still remains one of the best mentors and advisors that I've ever had.
My name is Richard Martin, and I'm one of Miss Levitan's former students at JPTV High. I had the privilege of having Miss Levitan for 4 years in high school, 3 years being in her business classes, and 1 year being in her study hall class. One word I would use to describe Miss Levitan is impact. Miss Levitan left a profound impact on me in the business world, and if it wasn't for her, I do not think I would be studying business management today at Howard University.
She never gave up on a student, never gave up on a class, and has always pushed us to try new things, do better, look at things from different perspectives, and take the chance if we were ever presented with a new opportunity.
She believed in her students more than they believed in themselves. And if there was a student with their head down, she would ask them if they were okay and offer them a snack, more specifically a kind bar, because health is wealth. But she cared about the well-being of all her students, and I know that she'll always be a role model for me, and I know she impacted countless other students and has put so many young people on a path that changed the trajectory of their careers and lives, including myself.
I'm so grateful that I got to meet you and that you got to train me for this amazing opportunity to take over DECA MVE. You have left it in great hands. You've prepared me very well, and I'm very grateful that this is truly a gift, and all the students you've impacted, they will go out into the world and they will carry on the legacy that you left behind. And we're just super grateful for you, and I just pray you have an amazing time. God bless you.
I appreciate you. I appreciate your commitment to educating for life, not just for a grade, not just for a course. The things that you have imparted, the knowledge that you have imparted into our students, those students have taken those things into life. Not just our students here at JPT, but my own children from when they were itty bitty tiny, and they would show up to the different events that were sponsored by the clubs that you've supported. The countless hours and field trips and competitions with DECA and VEI, just thank you, because JPT would not be what it is today if it were not for those hours and your selfless commitment to education.
Happy retirement, Laurie Acosta. It's been a true pleasure working with you over the past years. Your positive spirit were invaluable to our team.
Well, it's been a privilege to be a teacher, and I hope that you guys are able to take something with you. And I talked to you about LinkedIn, and if you want to follow me on LinkedIn, you're welcome to. I invite you to do that, because I'd love to see how you do. I want to know when you make your first million. All right, thanks guys.
And as she retires from Broward County Public Schools to start a new chapter of her life as life coach advisor with Wayfinder Life Coach, she's taking with her many good memories that she will cherish forever and leaving behind a legacy of strong leadership, exceptional team spirit, and passionate people building.
What memories I'm going to take with me are really the memories of the relationships I've formed. And I'm not just taking the memories, I'm taking those connections with me. For the last 21 years, every year, there have been a group of students that have really been special to me because we got each other, and they showed up to learn as much as I showed up to teach. That's the greatest honor for me and the greatest joy.
What message do you have for Taravella?
Taravella will always be my home, my family. A lot of teachers move around a lot throughout their careers. I have been here since day one, and I've seen a lot of changes at this school. But there's a specialness to it. Like I could have gone somewhere else, but I've always felt like, and maybe this is just me being selfish, but I always felt Taravella needed me. And it felt really good to know that I had something to contribute here. And it's a special place. There are a lot of people, a lot of teachers here who feel that same way.
Okay, I'm back. You know I'm long-winded. Happy retirement.
There are only two kinds of people in this world, Trojans and those who want to be Trojans, and I am forever a Trojan.